Thank you. Thank you. And thanks to Elastic and Matt, Nicole, everybody for inviting me and setting this up. Thank you. Today, well, first of all, you may not know me. My name is Norman W. Long. I am an artist, composer, improviser, lives and works here in Chicago. And my practice involves doing field recordings, sound walks, and performances with other traditional and non-traditional musicians and artists and movers. And one of the forms it takes is something like this that you see up here is a sound installation that was exhibited at the Glass Curtain Gallery. It's run by the Columbia College and here in Chicago. And what this gave me a chance to do was to combine this like process of walking and recording and composing and putting this research together to put something like a really immersive and expansive sort of point of view, or an expansive sort of version of what is in the Calumet region of Chicago. So let me go move up the slide a little bit. So what this was is then, well, what you're going to see now is a version of this particular piece, Calumet and Dub, was composed in a different setting at Columbia College. But I was also able to perform this live on the CLEAT system. So tonight I'm going to sort of walk you through what I had done on the CLEAT system. And I'm going to show you some of the processes, some of the tools that I use. Now, the tools that I use might be familiar or may not be, but just to warn you, I use Ableton Live, and I use other things for my research and to use a couple of sonification devices. One is sort of like a hardware device called Plant Wave, and another is it's a regular old Google device called Two Tone, which sonifies data sets. Now, obviously, all of these things I'm sure you can all do all of these things for free somehow if you have a workshop or you code or something like that. This is just one particular thing that I do, but I am also aware that there are other ways you can accomplish this. And I think in the spirit of doing this, I'm just walking you through my own process. So, Calumet and Dub was a exhibition that focused on the Calumet region on the southeast side of Chicago, that is based around Lake Calumet, the Little Calumet River, and the Calumet River. And so this was sort of an 8-channel sound installation that I composed and designed on another program called Reaper. And you see here, so this was just live, this was sound sort of running and looping through the space here. There were 3 gallery spaces. One was the listening space. Well, all of them were listening spaces. Other one was just showing you some of the process that went on behind the scenes. So photographs, data sets, and maps here. And little bit of live sound. I don't know if you can hear it. Nope, that's okay. You'll hear it. You'll hear it soon enough. This is the area I'm talking about here. Now, what you're looking at is pretty much on the south side of Chicago at the beginning of the Calumet River, which is up here. This was taken in, I believe, the 1850s or 1860s, and as you see here, you have you still have development and industry going on in this area, including, which is a very important part of this thing, the steel industry that came into existence around 1857. Before that, I'd like to do a bit of land acknowledgement. This was the many nations traveled through here, including the Potawatomi, Miami, and Illinois people. And I just wanted to make sure that I acknowledge that. Going on, after settling, this became a hub for Chicago. Obviously, became a hub for transportation, industry, livestock. On the southeast side, it was manufacturing, shipbuilding, and steel. So these communities around here were sort of built up around that industry, kind of literally built up from the slag or metal waste from the industry, and from filling in this wetland, because this was all sort of like marshland here. As you can see, this is one of our one of the more latest things. You see that almost all of this lake had been filled in, as you can see here. So there's, after all of that, there's been so much industry and so much population growth that you see this here. Also, something that was what I acknowledge as well, and something that I felt was really important, was the work of a very important environmentalist. Not this one here, but this one here. Her name is Hazel Johnson, and she was a environmental activist on the far southeast side of Chicago. She was one of the many migrants from the South that came up to Chicago in the 50s. And she moved into a housing project called Altgeld Gardens. What happened there was that, it was a new development, and quite pleasing, and something that should have been good. She was noticing that her friends had respiratory problems, were getting sick and things like that. So she wanted to know why. We find out that within this community was built on, most of the community here was built on sort of like waste, but this was built on sort of toxic waste from the paint factory, from Sherwin-Williams, and the Acme steel plant, among others. So her research, she wanted to know why. She figured that out, and then she started to advocate for her family, friends, and community. Her advocacy sort of influenced other activists from around the country to stand up as well. All right, let's go on here. All right, one of the things that I felt also was really interesting was this particular trail that that was sent to me over the email. This is called the African American Heritage Water Trail, which here, as you see on the map here, is sort of kind of similar to the map that I had here that you had seen. But this was something that connected several communities and neighborhoods and people through this particular sort of excursion. With this excursion, well, I've never really been on it, but it was something that I did visit these places, by land, So what was interesting here was that I found out that the Calumet River and the Little Calumet River, now, while being sort of a site for sort of like industry and pollution and advocacy, was also a region that had always been sort of significant for the African American Black population locally. This was something that we just go through. I'm just gonna go through here. What I found was really interesting was, as we sort of, I think I'm going to zoom out a little bit, was, can't really zoom out. Oh well. So something that I thought was significant was that there are several spaces, several places, there were sort of sites, main sites of migration for either formerly enslaved people or people who were migrating during the migrants of the Great Migration. And most people, like for instance, going to Chicago, Detroit, Canada, use the Michigan and Central and Michigan Southern Railroads. So, and this piece here was, and now as we go further on during this, we'll see that this is in Bobian Woods, which is a part sort of forest preserve here. But I just wanted to talk about like some of those things. So like this, and if we move a little bit further, Outhill Gardens, we talked about that. Ton Farm, on the banks of the Little Calumet River, this was a underground railroad stop. And so I felt that was really important. And this placard and this space is actually new. You could actually visit. When I was doing my research, there wasn't really anything but like a shack and people kind of working on stuff, but I think this is now, you would be able to actually stop in and see it. All right, so let me move forward here. The tools that I use when I, besides my ears, are this hydrophone, this Zoom recorder, and a contact microphone. I use several different microphones, but this is sort of the ones that I use regularly. So as we see here, this is something of the waveforms of some of the things that I've recorded. And like I said before, I also use a process of sonification, and you will hear that a little bit later on. This is the plant wave device. You can connect this particular device to plants, anything living, anything with color, anything green, anything like that. This builds off of, this reads the bioelectric, so energy, water, content of your particular other plant. So I've used that many times before, and this is an example. I don't know if you can hear it. Sounds kind of tiny, but All right. And here I am using it on an oak tree by one of the SEPA stations, which I will tell you about later on. And I've also used it on milkweed as well, which is both these this plant are sort of native to the area here. Okay, I also use two-tone, which is a sonification device that you could find on Google Chrome. And what it really is and how it is marketed as is just like a way to make sounds and make your PowerPoint presentations more fun to experience. But I use it in a little bit different way. But one of the things that I have seen here is I got some data sets, CSV files, Excel files from the census, and I was thinking about using some of that data. We were talking about the demographics and so for instance, this was the African Americans as a percentage of the population in U.S. cities. And you will see more. We'll go through some examples tonight as well. And this is a little bit of the data set that we'll be listening to. How I put it together and some of the effects that I use have been influenced by many different kinds of artists, including King Tubby here. I think one of the first CDs I got was Dub Me, which is just really kind of interesting work there. And let me see if I can find that here. I'll just give you a little, I don't know if this can, let me see if this is, I don't know, let me see if I can. Excuse me, I got to use my glasses. I might want to route this. Excuse me. Okay, here's some thoughts by Arthur Jafer. Arthur Jafer. He states in Michael Ville's book, Dub, in the chapter called Starship Africa. Jaffa states, one of the things I'm thinking about is dub music. It ends up really speaking about common experiences because the structure of the music is about things dropping out and coming back in, really reclaiming this whole sense of loss, rupture, and repair that is very common across the experience of Black people in the diaspora. Michael Ville goes on to say, the privileging of rupture in dub music comes to symbolize the disruptions in cultural memory and the historical shattering of existential peace encoded into the cultural nervous system and sublimated into musical sound. Okay, so the other influence that I felt was really important to share with you all is this man here, Halim Eldab. And so he is American but Egyptian-born composer. And what was important for him was that he was very influential in the idea and the creation of electronic music, and especially when it comes to sort of processing and remixing sort of found sound. So he was doing this in the 30s and 40s before there was a particular tape. And so this was, his work was constructed with the use of a wire recorder, which is considered the predecessor of the tape recorder. He had begun his studies in agriculture engineering at Cairo University, but he had always been sort of wanted to connect and reconnect with particular cultures and ethnicities within his home country of Egypt. And I felt like this was really interesting, and I believe this was one of the songs that you heard before while you're waiting. All right, so coming back here, let's get back to the map here. We started going back here. So the way I structured this particular piece and how I structured how this was going to go, particular in the CLEAT system, was I was going to start out at Steelworkers Park, which is sort of like it's called this particular park is on the Calumet River, it's called Calumet Harbor as well. And as we move forward here, let's start here. So, and actually, if we go here, let's go to Google Earth. Let's see where I did some of these recordings. So I was using my Zoom recorder with as well as my hydrophone. And so how I started was, let me show you. I used Live, and this is the particular setup that I have here. And how I organize these, as you can see, I organize them sort of like halfway. Part of it was on for the map. Other parts were for like particular kind of like instrument sort of groups. So this is the space here called Steelworkers. So let's try this one. And how I organized this was, you will see that we have 16 speakers here. So I mapped some of these out here. So I also do sort of like most of the work that's been done is about the recording, it's the processing, it's the research. And so when I get to this point, it really is about, okay, following the map. And so as you can see, let me get back here. When we talk about like how I structured this, I structured it by sort of like taking this journey down the Calumet to the Little Calumet. So we started at Steelworkers Park. It did some recording in Jeffrey Manor, Marion R. Burns Park, Big Marsh. And we moved towards Beaubien Woods, this area here. Then we ended around this area here. The Acme Steel plant, which is not too far from Aldgate Gardens. And so this was sort of a brief, this was sort of an interesting excursion that I'm going to take you on right now. Okay, so let's start with this. And one. All right, as we move on our path here, was able to well, we wanted to me and a friend of mine who was helped with the transportation and just recording and things like that. We started here at Steelworkers Park, and we wanted to get to this area here, realizing that there was really no way to get here on foot. It was kind of like a weird sort of space here. So what we ended up doing was recording in this area here called Indian Ridge Park, which is right next to Big Marsh, which is here, which is one of the newer parks in the Chicago Park District. And so this is all sort of like part of the Calumet area, and this is also where you see here that this is also across from the Ford plant. All right, so let's move on. Okay, so that was a walkthrough through a couple of spaces there. Thank you, thank you. So we went through Indian Ridge Marsh, and I was using. Let's see if there's any effects on here that I could show you. No, no effects on here. Oh, one of the things that I had done was sort of like give you a sense of what these places are and sort of the character of the places. So like here at Indian Ridge was more or less sort of like more of a marshy and woody area. And when we went to Bobian Woods here, it's it's part of the forest preserves here of Cook County, but it occupies, it has, as you can see, it's different spaces, and it also is on the border of it. It looks directly onto this landfill here, and so so this is obviously this waste sort of like, and other things, just barges travel up and down here, and some of the things that you do here are something you can't see, like what's underneath, what's in the water here, and you could probably hear some crayfish and things like that are underneath. So we're at the bottom of that river here. You'll also hear singing insects as well. And you also hear that sound being reinforced through some of the instruments and sort of plugins that I hear for use here. One of the instruments I use is called Pigment, and what I use, and I use this, sort of like, this sort of reads the MIDI. Yeah, this uses the MIDI data that that is on here, as you can see. Well, check this out, because I don't think you've seen this yet. You see? So as you can, let me see if I can. So this is the little, what we call the piano roll here. As you can see here, that these are the sort of like the notes that you can see that are playing here, and obviously with sort of like the different sort of synths that you can use, virtual synths that you can use here, you can get some really interesting sounds. But what I'm doing is I'm using this sound to reinforce these singing insects and sort of giving you sort of a more melodic and even harmonious sort of, I don't know which one it is, but you're getting more of an engaging sort of experience in this sort of like or something that is more, gives you some more movement within the piece there. And also getting you a different kind of movement with singing insects, we have the anthill. And so what I did there was I used a contact mic for this one. And you'll see that I had just basically routed, let me see if I can get this. So I basically routed my the effects to here. So just basically routing it through grain delays for speakers 1, 5, 9, and 16. So a lot of this work is not so much moving sound around, but sort of like in engaging you and sort of like immersing you in sound, rather you identifying a sound and then trying to follow it around the room. I'm using it a little bit different, as in, and there's some things, for example, that I found interesting and I wanted to show you, the ring shout here, which is something that can move sound. What I did there, it's not actually a ring sound, this is actually a field holler. So this is sort of like bringing you that sort of experience of something from the past, you know, something like bringing a sense of history of sort of the past being brought to the future and the future being brought to the past, sort of like something that's giving you a little bit more complexity within how you see the Calumet River, this region, as you see someone from, you know, the history of that. So so as you see here, let me just go through this here. I have a surround panner that's in the Ableton sort of as a plug-in, and so like what you're doing is, what I'm doing is I'm just I'm mapping sort of like the sound to these speakers that you see here. And what I'm doing is I am modulating that with 2 LFOs. So it's moving randomly through the x-axis and the y-axis. And I mapped out speaker 1, 4, 13, and 16. So you're hearing this. Might hear a little bit better, and I'll also have this particular effect, this delay effect that's on here. Okay, and I believe the last thing that I did want to go over was a little bit of like a demo of how I used the two-tone. And I did this in a couple of ways. For this particular piece, I can record. I can. What am I trying to say? I can record what I'm translating on here through Ableton, and I just want to show you how I did that, because I know that it's a little bit taking a little bit too long here. And I want to show you what this is. So when you look at this, let's look at this percentage here in 1900. And so this is reading this data here, and this is how it's reading it, like this. Let me see if I have it. Let me turn this up. Good. Ugh, sorry. So, what's really fun about this is that if you don't have a DAW or you don't have any of that kind of stuff, this app comes with its. This app comes. Sorry about this. This app if you don't have a DAW or anything like that, this comes with its own sounds. Not only does it do that, you can arrange it. You can put put anything in any kind of key. You have modes here. You have octaves, and if you want, you can even do arpeggios. So for this one, I chose something that was a little bit interesting, a rhythmic pattern here. Yes. Here it is. Here. It's called glitch sequence, and that's what I'm using. So let's go to 1990 and see what we find. I don't know why it's doing that. All right. So, all right, before I close out with anything, I want to thank you all for coming and listening and giving me your attention. I really appreciate that. I want to say that, just show my particular gratitude. And let me see if I'm missing something before I throw it over to if anybody has any questions. Let me just move over here. And so what you are seeing here is basically me from the Bobian Woods boat launch to the landfill here. You're just seeing a little bit of what's in the grass here. As we moved further along, we moved towards the Acme Steel Plant and the SEPA station, which is very, and you also listened to data that was sonified from water data as well, so how clean the water is. And so you see this is sort of an aeration station, actually. Makes the water a little bit cleaner, and it makes the fish breathe a little bit better. So this is what it looks like. And these are some of the sites for our data sets here. Does any? Oh, do you need me to speak into this microphone? Yeah, am I okay? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, oh yeah.
All right. Okay, that's good.
I have a microphone for anyone that wants to
Yeah. So yeah. Getting over cold, fine. Just minus issues. So bear with me. Thank you. But is there any questions or anything that that you felt like I didn't go over well, or did you want any questions?
Oh, hey. Very cool. I'm curious how the plant wave box works. does that create the sound in there, or is it just taking like the signal and then the Ableton's making all that like kind of like ambient chorus type sound, or?
What I did for that is the box. Also, there's different ways to do it. So with this process that you saw, I used the box with the app. So this box comes with an app that reads the data and also records the MIDI data that's being transferred from the plant to the phone. I find that very useful, and because really what I saw Plantly, what like it's being marketed for is more sort of like this sort of self-care and mindfulness thing, but it has also a function of reading the data, and it can be used for more creative things. I feel like, for me, I don't have a maker space to do all that stuff to make my own, so I had to get this one. So, but I really enjoyed sort of like that process of taking that MIDI data and then sort of designing sound around the soundscape that was provided, that I recorded.
Very cool. Thank you.
Norman, I'm curious if you want to talk a little bit more about just your strategies and what the process was like moving this from an 8-channel system to a 16-channel system. Both are making multi-channel music, but one is more multi-channel than the other.
Oh yeah, I felt that I needed a lot. Well, one, I had help for like a lot of the process. For instance, me and my friend Sarah, we sort of like traveled around and we helped record that. So that was big. Another thing that was really helpful was working with the staff at Columbia College, because that hasn't really ever been done before. And so there was no way for me to do that by myself, pick out, doing sort of like basically trying to get the speakers to work and to interact with that. So like for instance, there was more of and it was more high maintenance. It was done on Reaper, it was done on Adele, it was like, I felt like, yeah, it was a lot of high maintenance, sometimes this, the wiring came apart or something like that. There was just like a lot of stuff that, the people and the staff, we were just trying to keep on track during the exhibition, and it worked really well. It just took a lot more maintenance. Here, as far as doing this, I'm sorry, if I go back, all of this started, when I started composing, I only composed for 2 channels, so just stereo for my headphones. And then what happened was I just exploded it out in a different way, and for Reaper, I actually had to learn it. So I didn't know how. I felt like it was a completely different workflow. I could see why people would use it. It's hella cheaper than Ableton. Especially, I think if you take your time with that particular DAW, I think you're gonna like it. But I've been using Ableton before. I use it, and I also use it in performances as well. And I had been, then this was the second may have been the third time I used it. It was like maybe a year ago, maybe 2023, or is it maybe 2 years ago that I did Calumet and Dub on this system. And the only thing I really had to pay attention to, and this is something I didn't tell you yet, you really do have to walk around. And, you know, and really listen to, you know, what the sounds are coming, you know, what you recorded and how they fit within the space. And I think you'll be happier than that than, like, for me, I was happier doing that than trying to move sound through here. And you're gonna meet a lot of people that do that and do that very well, but that's not something that I do. I liked having this immersive experience. So just figuring out what sounds to go there, what sounds coming there. A lot of the effects that you heard were, you know, the effects would be at this end or that end, and the original signal would be on one end. So like you're hearing the original and on one end, and then the effects on the other. Sort of like giving it even more space. The equalization or filtering is really important itself. I think that if you have to a lot of this stuff comes before putting this through here. I mean, this is like, to me, the exact last step. But if you do like all the other things, if you like everything else, you know, that process, and you have it, you just have to tweak it a little bit to make it work. I was feeling under the weather, so I was feeling kind of slower today, but, you know, usually, you know, it doesn't take me all day today. It took me a while to get it going, but I also wanted to do a somewhat decent presentation for you all, so that's fine.
It was lovely.
So thank you so much. Oh, wait, is there any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
Go ahead.
You can go.
So then what we heard, it was like improvisational for this space. So like if you were to go someplace else and they might have less speakers, you would have to redo what we heard.
Yeah, this is for this space.
Mm.
Okay.
So you organized the speakers based off of a map for like how you
I think I know what you're saying.
each channel? Or?
What I did was, okay, so let's go. So this is when I performed this. I gotta get the glasses. So, and so you can see this a little bit better. Okay. So this section here, Steelworkers, what I did was, I set it up for speaker 1, 4, 13, and 16. So all of those were, so that's what I picked up for this section. Moving over, like I set up these speakers, 9, 12, 5, 8, and 2. And also, I set up some of these here. So I arranged this, I arranged like the route, I arranged the routing based on each section. And for like Boogie and Woods, Boogie and Woods was interesting because it had lots of different aspects and different sounds. So there was like, so, and not all sounds are playing at the same time. Oh, yeah, that's important too. Not all sounds playing at the same time. So so not always, so like so I can't say in a way I was moving sound around, so I was fading in, fading out, so one would be here, one would be there, and I hope that makes sense. Oh my goodness.
So that was the part that you set up ahead of time. And then, so like you set up which track was gonna go to which speaker, and then
So I set up.
then you played that basically.
So I set up these first. So I set up these these groups first. Then I went in and said, oh, I need this to be there. I need this to be at 1. I need this track to be on 4. I need this tree on here, and I need this on here. So that's how. So that was like, yeah, that was literally the last part. So I had the sounds. I knew what order they'd go in, or I had an idea. Some are loosely based and some aren't. But the routing, yeah. So I had these sounds, and the last thing I did was, okay, what sound is going to go here? Based on, like, for instance, this was my last sound. Maybe I want this sound somewhere else here, and I want this sound here. So I had the sounds. I mixed them. I EQ'd them the way I wanted them to. Yeah.
Because you're bringing like your personal experience and this journey you took and like the sounds you've captured into a new space, where would you like, where's the place where you would really want to perform this if you could choose anywhere and you could like magically have a multi-channel setup there?
I think it would be, there's a place, I think it's still there. There's a whole room of speakers, and that's not the right way to say it, but there's a really nice system at Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute in, I think it's in Troy, New York. But I would like to put it in there. I'm sure there's other places. That's been on my
Even
wish
places
list.
that don't necessarily, like they aren't necessarily like a stage or like a sound system room, but like somehow you would magically have to set up there and like be ready to play. Or you can just leave it in like a performance
At the
space.
house.
I mean, for this, it's I would prefer like multi-channel space for something like this. Like, there's some other music that I like that I would love to put sound in or like play. But for this particular piece, I would like it. I would really like it to be like sort of multi-channel situation.
I have a question about with us. I hope I didn't skip anybody.
No, go for it.
Oh, sorry. When you were recording the sources, were they usually like mono or stereo recordings? Or?
Most of them were stereo. Except for sort of the hydrophones, and I think I used a mono condenser mic for one particular section in studio.
Hi, Gavin. I had a question and kind of a reflection too. I've encountered your work numerous times, and I feel like you are really, you're able to like bring us on journeys, and I feel like this was like a journey from the lake into the Calumet region. And so, hold on, my thoughts are kind of scattered. But I was kind of wondering if you could kind of speak to the ideas of, you know, the active part of listening. You're actively making these field recordings, right? And so you're this active listener. And then this is also this active listening space. So I was wondering if you could, talk a little bit about your experience with this sort of like listening as a process.
Yeah. I think it's something that requires a lot of focus and a lot of like I'm losing focus already. So and patience. And I don't think, at least as an artist or something like, in my experience, that wasn't something that was sort of taught or encouraged as an artist. You know, imagine, you know, just in my particular generation, no patience or focus or patience, focus, conviction. That had to be learned that had to be learned first, and it was through certain sort of traumas or certain sort of intense surgeries that I had to go, oh yeah, I should really try to be present, try to be patient with this. Again, 25 years ago, I couldn't listen to this music. I mean, I now couldn't, but I wanted to. I thought the idea and the art of it was fascinating, was really cool, but it was something that I just wasn't able to do until like maybe I would say maybe 25 years ago I could do it, but like within 2004, something clicked, and it was like, not only that, it's like being in a lot of people, for instance, people of color, a lot of us, have problems being in our own body, and I was thinking about that. I was reading news about that, and it's like, oh, that's so true. It's like, it's like these affirmations, like, it's like there's this thing, like, you're supposed to be more of a reactive mode, or like for males and for men, it's like, sort of listening might seem to be feminine or something like that, and that's all that is just that's not anything that I'm interested in. So like I'm thinking about you think about all that stuff, and then getting rid of all this sort of gendered or racial stuff, who you're supposed to be and how you're supposed to react. I had to be in my body, I had to be patient, I had to focus. I'm going to do anything creative. I'm going to have, a creative life. So I think that was part of the question.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you. It's really wonderful to hear, I think, because we're all like listening bodies, right? And so it's like affecting you. It's all subjective, and memory comes into it, lived histories come into it. So it's really beautiful to hear.
Yeah. It's a vulnerability that, you know, I'm not gonna slough off, you know, it's like, yes, yeah, it is, you know, and if I'm gonna be judged for it, fine, but that's how I make my stuff.
Yeah, that's great.
Can you play it in the car? It's not in the car.
I do have this on, I didn't bring my CD. My CDs, there is a CD of this.
Does it like just go off the speakers back and forth? Oh, dope.
But Black, Brown, Gray, Green, the album I put out in 2021 is on all their platforms.
Okay,
So, yeah.
that's cool.
All right. I think we could probably call it there. Does anybody else have any questions?
You better
Going
stop.
once. Going twice.
Don't
Thank you.
tempt us.
Let's give them a round.